Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jodi Harrison Bauer, and I am so happy to have you join me for this episode today. This is the show that educates you, empowers you, maybe we entertain you a little bit, and inspires you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. Because in my humble opinion, if we're not trying to do that every single day, then what the heck are we doing here? We are a top 5% globally rated podcast, and it's all because of you. So please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, share with all of your friends, and we really appreciate you listening. Let's get on with the show. Just a few notes about episode today and episodes going forward. That I started this podcast back in February of 2020. And at the time, my goal was to, again, educate and empower you with that information. And I interviewed a lot of people that had their own businesses, started their businesses, and especially during the pandemic, everybody wanted to be on the podcast and talking about what they did. People were creating new products and services that were empowering others and helping them live their most fearlessly authentic life. And I thought that this was such a great way to empower people. And I loved that. And that was really important to me. It still is. Fitness, strength training, nutrition, health, being proactive, hormone balances, everything about women's health is incredibly still a priority to me, of course. I've been in the fitness business for over 36 years, and I'm still incredibly passionate about it. But as a lot of you may know, I am going through a divorce. It is a second divorce from my second husband. I was married the first time for 17 years and had 2 daughters by that marriage. And then I dated and was in other relationships for about 17 years and then got married, remarried in 2019. And unfortunately, things didn't work out between us. And we are going through it right now. So if I've been a little bit quiet on this podcast, it's been because there are a lot of things that I don't feel ready to talk about, but I still wanted to be fearless and authentic to you. Fearlessly authentic does not mean that we have to share everything with you. So I just want to let you know that I am being as fearless and authentic as I possibly can. And one of the things that ruminates in my mind all the time is love. What is love? And it's that song, I think, from the 80s. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. I don't know who sings the song, but what is love? And have I ever been really, really in love? What does in love mean? And I had my therapist tell me that in love is just a time, that we can't be in love all the time. So in talking about love and relationships, I am going to go deeper into love, relationships, talking about them with guests that I may have on the show, different personalities that you might deal with in a relationship that may cause you some confusion about the relationship or misunderstanding, and just becoming more knowledgeable about it. Just like I try to educate you on all of these different business ideas from the guests that I have come in. And my last guest was talking about dating. I want to talk more about love. And it ties into fitness and health, because if we're not feeling confident in our body by taking good care of it and being proactive with our health, then we're not going to feel confident enough to put ourselves out there and possibly meet somebody, because Prince Charming ain't going to find you sitting on the couch in your apartment or in your house. That person wants to find you out in the world living your life. And I know that many of you don't feel like getting off the couch and putting on your bra. And for me, drying this hair is a total pain in the ass. Blow drying my hair, makeup and the whole thing. But what's the alternative? If we need to put ourselves out there, and the more confidence we have, the better we'll feel about trying. And it's like a muscle. The more you do it, the better you will get at doing it, and the more consistent you will be. And this doesn't mean that you need to go out by yourself. That's if you want to. But what I'm saying is getting yourself out there, joining a group, joining a book club, joining a tennis group, whatever it is that you need to do. I want you to get out there and I want you to feel good about doing that. Part of that is the right mindset, just like in fitness, and also understanding like what's stopping you from going out. What's stopping you from maybe working on yourself a little bit more mindfully and physically? What haven't you healed from in a past relationship? What are you going through right now? And last year I was a little bit more outspoken about what was going on in my marriage because I had just left him. And glad that I spoke about it, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to talk about how I can help you. And I want to give you ideas and thoughts that I have and things that I want to discuss around love and relationships. And like I said, even if it's pop culture. So let's start with the pop culture stuff because I do love pop culture. I watched the Golden Globes on Sunday and I thought Nikki Glaser looked unbelievable. I loved every single outfit she changed into. There's a lot of talk about Kylie and Timothée. Is it Timothée or Timothy? I don't know. But anyway, she's stunning. She's absolutely stunning. Say what you want to say about her, but she's a great businesswoman and she looked absolutely drop dead gorgeous. So there's a lot of talk about when he won the awards at the Critics' Choice Awards and he said, "Thank you to my foundation." And I heard that it was Amanda Seyfried. I think that's how you say her last name. She was saying that she was confused about what he was saying about his foundation. It's Kylie. So he didn't say Kylie's name. Now it's the Golden Globes. And he says, the last thing he says is, "I want to thank my parents and my partner for their love," or something like that. And everybody knows that he's dating Kylie Jenner and everybody knows that she's the woman in his life. And I was talking to my daughter about this. Why doesn't he just say, "and Kylie"? I want to thank my parents. Like he didn't have to name their names. And I guess it goes with the same thing. Like I want to thank my parents and my partner. But is he saving this for the Oscars? Is he saving this to say, "and Kylie"? I don't know. If I was his partner and everybody knew I was his partner, I guess I would be okay with that. But there are plenty of people who got up there and say, "I want to thank my husband, John," or "I want to thank my wife, Lisa." I don't know. Why can't he say, "I want to thank my partner in life, Kylie"? That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, and then the other thing that came up, I'm a little late on this. I did put it on TikTok, was that why was everybody making such a big deal about Tom Brady and Alix Earle? They were talking about the age gap. She's 25, he's 48. There are way, way bigger age gaps in Hollywood, in sports, in celebrities, influencers, whatever you want to call it, celebrities. Way bigger age gaps than that. So why is everybody making such a big deal about their age gap? Could somebody please fill me in? Why is everybody saying Tom Brady is so creepy? He's 48, she's 25. Yes, almost double the age, almost 24 years, but 23 years difference. It's really not a big deal. I mean, there are age gaps all over. And these men, these older men, are close to the same age as these girls. So even if you're a 40-year-old and you marry a 60-year-old, your dad's going to probably be about 65 or 70. And especially if it's that generation, your dad's going to be close to your husband's age. So I'd like to know, why is everybody making such a big deal about why were they? I mean, I know it's over and done with. And now her mother has cancer, which is so awful. But I want to know, why did they make such a big deal about it? And J-Lo didn't look great. I'm just going to say, I thought that, I'm trying to think of anybody else who's out there. I thought Kathy Bates looked very good. Honestly, Nikki Glaser just looked stunning. I mean, beautiful muscle tone. I think she had a nose job. I want to know if any of you think that she had a nose job, because if you look at older pictures of her, did she have a facelift? Something is different on her face, and I think she got a nose job. But she looks stunning, and I thought her jokes were great. I thought they were all good. I think the only one that fell was the one where she was doing the karaoke to the K-pop demon singer. Okay, so at the end of the day, and I hate when people say at the end of the day, but I'm going to say it because I'm looking for a segue. At the end of the day, everybody wants to be in love. It's why we have so many rom-coms. It's why people want to get in shape. It's why people want to get healthy. They're looking for love. People are looking for love. We're human beings and we want to be loved and we want to love other people. The people that say, I don't care about love, I'm going to call you out on it and tell you that you're lying to yourself. Just like I know the women who come to me to get in shape, or the women I meet wherever I'm meeting women, and they say, I don't care about getting in shape. Like, you go do it, Jodi. You get in shape. Well, I am in shape, obviously. I'm not like you. I don't need to get in shape. Look, everybody wants to be fit, which is why everybody's on GLPs. That doesn't make them fit. That makes them skinny. Please, ladies, if you are on GLP, please lift weights and eat more protein. See me if you need some help. And everybody wants to fall in love. And don't give me that bullshit that you don't want to be sexy either. You're lying, okay? So 3 things I know. Every woman wants to feel sexy. Every woman wants to be in shape. And every woman wants love. So let's talk about it. There's love. There's falling in love. There's marrying your best friend. What are all those things? Because somewhere along the way, we were sold a version of love that feels magical, like we see in Disney, and then quietly leaves a lot of women feeling confused, lonely, or wondering if something is wrong with them, with us. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? We're supposed to have the fairy tale. You hear these girls that are 10 years old, or they've thought of their fairy tale wedding since they were 10 years old. I wasn't that girl. I was also that girl that didn't like to babysit and didn't really like other children until I had my own. So I'm not like your normal girl, but I've always wanted to be sexy, but feel sexy for myself. I dress for myself. I don't dress for other people. I've always wanted to be in love. And for me, most of my life, I've been in relationships. And so I'm not really going to be very good at the dating thing because I haven't dated since 2008. So that time has not come yet because I'm still going through my divorce. But when that time comes, I am going to put myself out there because I do like to be in relationships. And I do want to eventually find somebody that I could spend my life with and share my life with. So let's talk about falling in love and love. Falling in love is a feeling. It's chemistry, it's dopamine, it's excitement, it's a novelty, it's butterflies and late night texts and thinking about something nonstop. That is like a quick fix. It's a quick hit. And there's nothing wrong with that feeling. It's beautiful, it's fun, it's very intoxicating. We want more and more and more of it. Falling in love seems easy, but love is not. Love is something that happens to us, and love is something that's built. Does that make sense? Falling in love is emotional. Love is behavioral. I'm not going to get too scientific with you because I don't want to go there. I just don't want to go there. But this is what love looks like. It looks like consistency over intensity, feeling emotionally safe, not anxious, being chosen on ordinary days, being listened to, not just tolerated, and being supported, not minimized. I was watching last night with my daughter, this comedian. He's on SNL. I've seen him all over the internet. His name is Marcelo Hernandez, and he's really, really funny. So I watched his stand-up. He's from Miami, and he was just talking about growing up as a Latina young man and growing up in Miami. And my daughter and I were laughing out loud because so much of it is cultural. I'm not Latina at all. I'm Jewish, but it's family. And although some other type of family might express themselves differently, it just comes down to we're human beings and it's the way we love our children. And he talks about love. And he talks about how his mom brought him up as, I think she was a single mom. That wasn't really, really clear. And he talks about growing up skinny. And he also talks about how all men need to do is just one thing. They need to be really good listeners. And he was talking about how you see the most beautiful women in the world with like an ugly looking frog. And his response is, oh, that guy must be a good listener. And that reminded me when I was preparing for this today that being listened to, not just tolerated. Then he went on to say that his friends were like, oh, look at that guy. He's so ugly, so ugly. How did he get a girl like that? And so he said something, and I'm delivering this all wrong, but he says something like, not only does he listen, he asks follow-up questions. So that's a man, and that was really funny because we want to be heard. We don't want to be tolerated. And to have somebody hear us and listen to us and ask those follow-up questions, that feels like support, and that feels to me like love. And being our biggest cheerleader, knowing that when we get scared to try something new, that you're there to tell us that we can do it. That's love. And that is even sexy. When somebody hears you and listens, forget about the whole be seen, be heard stuff, okay? We've heard that a million times. I'm talking about a man who genuinely wants to see you do better, who wants to see you fulfill your dreams, who's not jealous of you, somebody who doesn't want to dim your light, somebody who says, no, that's stupid. But you know what I mean when they don't support your dreams, your passions. You feel it because you don't feel the authentic support. They're not asking you questions. They're asking you questions because they think they should ask questions. And if you know what I mean, that feels very disingenuous. That feels very, very not like love. It feels very distant. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to want to have sex with that man that doesn't ask me authentic questions, who doesn't ask me questions that he's genuinely interested in. And when I think about the men that have been in my life, the men that I've had the greatest connections with were the ones that really supported me. I'm saying that in an emotional way, not in any other way, but emotional. Love is how someone shows up when life isn't sexy. So him asking you questions, him being consistency over intensity, making sure that you feel safe, that must be a thing that I think men hear about. I've heard a few men say things like, I made sure that she feels safe. I made sure. And I don't know if that's just a word men are hearing and they're thinking that if they say that the woman will immediately feel safe. But if you're not actually walking the walk and really making her feel safe, it's like asking her questions that you really don't care about. We feel it. We know it. Like, it's so easy to make a woman feel supported. It's so easy, but men just don't get it. We're not wired the same way. We just want to know that they care about what we're doing. And at the moment, those things don't feel sexy. But to us, all those things added up, the consistency, feeling emotionally safe, feeling chosen, being listened to, being supportive. Let me tell you something. A man who can bring all those things to the table, that's sexy. That's a confident man who says, I want to make my girl feel all these things because I love her and I genuinely care. Because you know what? If he doesn't genuinely care, he's not going to be consistent. And we're going to pick up on it right away. So it's how a man shows up in your life when things aren't sexy, when things are hard. Like when I think about things in my life, like when my daughters were going through things, when my parents died, they died like 12 years apart from each other. But who was in my life? Who was really supporting me there? Who was there for me to cry to? Who was there for me to just talk? And they listened. And I remember those people. And I remember the ones that did not. And the falling in love part is the fireworks. But the fireworks are not going to last forever, because if every day was a firework, it would feel eventually very boring. Oh, there's the firework again. No, we want somebody who's solid and is there for us. For me, I always think of the falling into their arms, and this also, and I don't want to get too much into this, but this goes into the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And man, for so long I was in my masculine energy and then would get into relationships and I would be in my masculine energy and they were in their feminine energy. And it was just so unattractive. And certainly there wasn't any intimacy or very little intimacy in those types of relationships, because a woman wants to feel like the woman and the man should act like the man. And I see it even in my generation with the men who've been divorced a few times. Like, women these days don't need to put up with any bullshit. And when I was watching the Golden Bachelor, which was like horrible, watching paint dry, one of the things that I talked about in earlier episodes, back in the fall, was that these women were happy to accept crumbs. And I even see the relationship between Peggy and Mel. And I'm like, it doesn't feel... I feel like she's his mother. I feel like maybe he's had too many head concussions, and I feel like he's not really with it. I feel like she's like the mommy saying this, like, so right now they're doing like a fitness challenge or something like that. And obviously he's driving that because he's the one with the fitness background, even though he's a lawyer, but that's okay because he was a football player. I just feel like she's like, Mel, talk to the camera. Mel, tell everybody what we're doing. And I'm like, ugh, it feels icky. Like, why? I don't know. I'm not explaining myself well at all, but does anybody get the ick from that relationship? And I'm not here to shit on them. I want everyone who's my age and older and younger to be happy, but there's something that feels off about that relationship. I think Peggy is a spitfire, and I think she's trying to lift him up. I think he's a man of few words, and that's okay, but I don't get it. So maybe somebody could give me some insight. I don't know. Maybe Peggy can tell me more about the relationship and be on the show. Okay. And maybe Mel is that man for her. Maybe he is there when things get hard, when life isn't sexy, when you're tired, and when you're not at your best. And that's stuff in the background that we don't see. We only see, I'll talk to the camera, tell them what we're doing today. And I guess the reason that it triggers me, because I'm figuring it out right now, is I remember when I was little and somebody would call the house and my mom would always say to me, Jodi, talk to your aunt so-and-so. Jodi, talk to this person. I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk to them. So I never want to feel like a parrot. And I kind of feel like she's kind of doing that. She seems like a really nice lady, but that's what I'm saying. So that's it. All right. So what love actually looks like. We know what love actually looks like. And it's not always sexy. But the things that you do to show your support for us, men, is sexy to us. And we find that sexy about you because there's nothing sexier to a woman than a confident man. And a confident man will leave his ego outside and be what you need to be. And we in turn will try to be what you need us to be. That's where it works. I've also seen a lot of women talk about marrying their best friend. So this is what I heard on a podcast. A woman was married to a man, I think, for 10 years, and they lost intimacy. And she realized that this man was her best friend, but there was no intimacy. And neither one of them talked about it. And eventually they ended up getting divorced. And then she met somebody and realized, oh, this is what I've been missing. Like, I see a lot of women who are with men and they're like, but we have so much fun together and we laugh together and we do this together. But where's the intimacy? Part of a relationship, part of love, being in love, loving somebody like in a romantic way is the intimacy part. The thing that differentiates a friendship from a romantic partner is the intimacy. So back in the day, people told us to marry our best friend. I wasn't told that, but marry your best friend and you'll be happy forever. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think I know you can find the intimacy and the best friend qualities with a man. So when we think about a best friend, they listen, they support us, they celebrate our wins, they have our back, is kind when life is hard, doesn't compete with us, and doesn't make us feel small, right? But do you want to fuck him? And if the answer is no, then he's your friend. And I'm going to tell you, don't marry that person. Because the lack of intimacy will become a problem down the road, and he or you will go and find it from somebody else because we all need to feel loved and intimate with somebody. So when I said at the beginning of the show, every woman wants to feel sexy and every woman wants to fall in love and be loved. That love feeling of a friendship is warm and fuzzy. And then you've got the intimacy and the passion. Those two can come together if there is that attraction. Now, we also have, oh my goodness, there's so much passion. There's so much chemistry. All we want to do is fuck like rabbits, but he's not supportive. He's not there during the hard times. All he wants to do is have sex. That's not good. So having the polar opposites, sex all the time, friendship all the time. Two extremes. It's not going to work. We want to meet somewhere in the middle. If you're married to your friend, I promise you, you are going to feel lonely when it comes to intimacy. You're going to get in bed with that man and you're going to want to be intimate with him. You're going to want to fuck him if you're attracted to him. But if you're both friends, I guess it could work if you're both friends. I don't know. What is marriage, right? So maybe two best friends marry each other and they're good without having any intimacy. And they're not going to have children. And that's okay because we don't just have intimacy to have children, even though that's what I told my daughters when they want to know what sex was. LOL. So we don't want to just be be in a marriage with somebody who just wants to fuck all the time. And we don't want to be in a marriage with somebody who just wants to be our best friend all the time. It doesn't kiss us, doesn't slap us on the ass, isn't touching us. And you know how I feel when I don't want to be intimate with somebody? I don't even want my skin to touch their skin. Well, that's probably somebody I don't like. But a friend, you're not going to want to put your head on their shoulder. You're not going to want to hold their hand. You should know this right away. And I don't want you marrying your best friend without the passion, without the intimacy, because it ain't going to work. I'm telling you that right now. So if you don't feel emotionally met and you just feel like it's a partnership, it's a business, did you let the dogs out? Did you feed the dogs? How was your day today? Let's watch a movie. Let's go to sleep. Hey, do you want coffee? Brushing your teeth together, liking the same music, going to the same concerts, liking the same things, snuggling on the couch and watching TV, but you're not fucking. There's no passion. Then that's a marriage that's just a friendship. And if you're dating that person, that's a friendship. You're not going to have an intimate relationship with that person. And that's not to say that it has to be crazy sexual. That just means that there has to be that feeling of intimacy. There has to be that feeling where you want to have sex with that person. Otherwise, it's just a friendship. And that's okay if you're both on the same page. But in this particular situation that I'm talking about, this woman all of a sudden woke up one day and was like, wait a minute, I want passion. I want intimacy, and we're not having it. So I'm going to end the relationship. I personally could not be in a relationship thinking it was a romantic relationship and we weren't having sex. Like, I don't get it. So I would say, sure, marry your best friend, but make sure you want to fuck them too. Okay. Love, I think, this is what I've tried to explain to a lot of women. Just like fitness, it's not just one thing. It's not nutrition. It's not just nutrition. It's not just strength training. It's not just cardio. It's not just sleep. It's not just hydration. It's not just having your hormones balanced. It's a lot of different things that need to balance. And it's a lifestyle. And we have all these things that we're juggling all the time and trying to balance. And that's what love is. Love isn't just one thing. It's not just the sex. It's not just the friendship. It's not just that we enjoy the same things and that we laugh about the same things and we watch the same shows. It's about a lifestyle. How do you want to live your life? Do you agree that you want to be living a healthy lifestyle, that you like to work out, that you have a growth mindset? Do you both think the same way? Do you both look at life the same way? Do you want to grow together? Do you want to build something together? Do you want to live an extraordinary life or not? And love comes into that situation. I've been in love with a man whose lifestyle I didn't agree with, a lifestyle that I didn't want to live. And as heartbreaking as it was, I left the relationship. And I was really, really torn because I loved him. We had great sexual chemistry and he was my best friend, but we didn't share the same outlook on life. He wanted different things out of life than I did. And when you get to that point where you have the sex, the friendship, but you don't have the lifestyle, that's when a big decision has to be made. Now, you can look at it and say, hey, well, if you like to go to Broadway plays and I like to go to sports, okay, you go to Broadway plays with your friends. I'll go to sports things with my other friends. Okay. But if it becomes the kind of thing where they don't want to go out with your friends because that's not their thing, and you don't want to go out with their friends because that's not their thing, and you find that you end up living a very separate life because you don't enjoy the same things. And that's a lifestyle. So again, you have fun with them. You can lay on the couch and you can watch a movie and you could giggle and you could, find him sexy and you could have sex, but you don't agree in the things that you want to do for the rest of your life. You may not agree with having children, how many children, where do you want to live? Do you want to travel? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Well, I don't see myself there. Let me tell you something, ladies, right now. That is a huge, huge problem. And I know you don't want to leave him because the sex is great, the friendship is great. Like if you don't have the same outlook on a lifestyle, the way you want to live your lives, the way you think about things, the way you look at family and friends and adventure and, then you need to have that conversation. Like, we're really different, but I love you. Well, what do you love about that person? And talk about that. What do you love about that person? What do you respect about that person? Why does that person want to live this life and you want to live that life? Could we come in the middle and be somewhat understanding of what the other one needs and find a happy medium? And that's what love is all about, is finding that balance, finding that happy medium. You don't have to love all the same things that they do, but there needs to be mutual respect for what he loves or likes and what you love and like. But does it get to the point where you're living separate lives? And if it's getting to the point where there's so many things that you don't like that he does and he doesn't like what you do, and you don't share any common interests except laying on the couch and watching TV, then that's not a relationship that's based on much. I would say that it doesn't have a strong foundation because you're going to have children. You're going to grow old together, and there needs to be that agreement. So I've been in 3 major relationships. The first one was to my children's dad for 17 years, and we agreed on the way we wanted to live our life. That was never an issue. We were both on the same page. This is how we want to live our lives. Never a discussion. We click like that. We both wanted to further our careers. We were both very ambitious. We both wanted children, everything. But what happened in our marriage was that I wanted to grow in a way that he didn't want to see me grow. He wanted me being that stay-at-home mom. He didn't want me having aspirations and goals. I wasn't allowed to. Like, my only goal was to be a good mom. And so he was very narrow-minded like that, and he wasn't interested in the same things that I was interested. He didn't want to know how my workout was. He didn't want to see me getting leaner. He didn't want me to compete in fitness shows. If you've been listening to the show, you already know that. So we started kind of separating a little bit because I started resenting him, and this is what happens. I started resenting him because he wouldn't allow me to do the things that were really making me happy and excited. So going to the gym, I couldn't talk about it. If anybody asked me about what I did at the gym, he would tell me to be quiet. If anybody asked me like, oh, Jodi, you look really good. What are you eating? He would tell me to be quiet. Say what you will say. Okay. So we started, as I became less dependent and less dependent on what he thought I should do, he tried to hold me in tighter. He didn't want to see me grow. He didn't support my dreams and aspirations of getting on stage and competing in fitness shows. He didn't support me. So I started pulling back. Now, interestingly enough, our sex life was still okay. It wasn't this like crazy sex life, but it was still okay. So we still had the intimacy to a certain degree. But then as I matured and he got busier at work, you could see that we started separating, and he was less supportive. I was less supportive, and it wasn't good. Eventually, there were other things too. There was never any, we were both loyal to each other. There was nothing like that. He really wanted me to stay, but I thought it was time for me to leave because I wasn't getting that support from him. He wasn't supporting my goals and aspirations. So the way we were looking at life was changing a little bit. Did we still want the best for our daughters? Of course. Did we still want them to go to great schools and live and pursue everything they wanted to pursue and have experiences? Yes. But he wanted to hold me back, and he was a good husband. But that was a part of me that really felt held back. And when I feel held back, I want to move on from that relationship because I don't like the feeling of feeling stuck. Like, why aren't my dreams and aspirations as important as yours? So that was the shift in lifestyle, and that was the shift in his lack of support. Even though in his mind he was doing everything he could to support me, but he put his foot down for that. And then in my next relationship, there was competition between us, and he resented how busy I was at work, and he resented the attention I got when we went out, and he started competing with me. Now, he was very supportive of everything that I did. He would be the first person to say, she's a 2-time world bikini champion. But he was jealous of the attention that I was getting from men and women. It's a whole big story, what happened there. And the lifestyle he wanted didn't match the lifestyle I wanted. He started wearing women's clothing, and that was not a lifestyle that I wanted to be a part of. But I still loved him, but I wasn't in love with him. And I didn't want the same lifestyle. But you could say he was my best friend. We weren't married. We were engaged. We weren't married. So that's an example of somebody that was my best friend and I had great sex with. But we didn't share our outlook on lifestyle. And clearly, life as, a crossdresser wasn't going to fit the way I wanted to live. So that ended. And then in my third relationship, it's hard to explain, and I'm not really going to get into it because that is the man that I'm divorcing now. So I can't really get into it, but I will say that I loved him very much and that I do believe he did the best he could, but he was so busy in his own head. He was never present. He didn't ask follow-up questions. He didn't really want to see me become a star. And if you were here, he would argue that. But in his own very quiet way, and over the years, that's what I learned. But I think we both did the best job that we could have in that relationship. And I did love him very much. And I will always love him and want him to be happy, just like the father of my daughters and the man who became a crossdresser. I will always have a part of my love for them, their love for me in my heart. But this is, being 65 years old and having different relationships and reading about relationships and being obsessed about relationships and fascinated with them. That's why I can speak so clearly. I hope that I have been speaking clearly about friendships, very sexual relationships where there isn't any support. And what I hope that I'm saving you is if you see any of these things coming up, we call them red flags these days, right? To use an old term that's overused, is that if you see that the relationship that you're in is one way or another, it's lots of passion, but not support, no follow-up questions, right? No genuine interest in what you're doing, no interest in how can I support you? How can I help you? That's great. Telling your friends and family about what a great girl she is and what she's doing. And obviously you doing the same thing for him. And if you see it's one-sided, or if you see like, wow, we get along so well and I really love him, but we're not intimate. And or we don't share the same interests to the point where now he does his thing, I do my thing, and this feels like a really lonely relationship. Feeling lonely is different than being alone. And I've always said that I'd rather be alone than lonely. And right now I'm alone, but I'm not lonely at all. When I was married, I was very, very lonely and alone, but I was very, very lonely. So if you're hearing me right now and you are in a relationship and you feel lonely, that's something to think about. If you feel lonely and alone, that's something to think about. If you feel alone in the sense that you don't feel that the requests that you have from that person is being heard, or steps to support you in the things that you want are not being taken, then you need to think about, is this a relationship you want for the rest of your life? And so many women stay because they're told relationships are hard, work on it. They're told they're afraid to start over. Clearly, I haven't been afraid to start over, but it is scary. I'm not going to minimize it. And every single time I left, it was scary. It's very scary. But you know what? What's better that you leave and you believe in yourself enough that you are going to find what works for you and you're going to work on yourself and you're going to enjoy life. And when we're enjoying life genuinely, things come to us. And I know that from experience because when I've been miserable, depressed, sad, things don't align with me. And when I open up my heart more, things align more with me. People that I need and want come into my life. And the ones that don't work anymore go away. They just go away. You don't have to ask them to go away. You don't have to tell them to go away. They just naturally go away because that is the vibe you're putting out there. That's your vibration. That's where you're vibrating. You're vibrating on a different level than those people, and they are not attracted to you anymore, and you're not attracted to them. And in this case, I'm talking about men and women, friendships, because we've all been in friendships that just don't work for us anymore because it was a different time in our life. And sometimes that happens with marriages too. So I congratulate everybody who stays married for a really long time. I know it's not easy, but this is what I'm going to tell you about. Relationships are hard. Yes, when things get hard in a relationship, that's when it's time to talk, to be honest, find a compromise. But the number one thing you need to talk about is, what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? Are we fighting to keep this relationship together? Why? If you're both fighting for the same thing, I want to make this relationship better, so I need to listen to her more. I need to listen to him more. I need to do this. He needs to do that. It needs to be a compromise if you're fighting for the same things. If you're just throwing all of these things around and you're throwing comments out, it's not going to work. There needs to be compromise. There needs to be a balance, and you need to make sure that you're fighting for the same thing. In my marriage, I wanted him to support me on my desire to compete. Now, I didn't divorce him because he wouldn't support me, but that support grew into something bigger. I started noticing that he wasn't supportive of me. He would shut me down, as I mentioned, shut me down when I would be talking about things that excited me. And that was a problem because it showed a lack of respect for what was important to me. Getting fit and healthy. I was always fit and healthy, but taking my fitness to the next level. He didn't respect that. When friends and family would say, "Oh my God, Jodi, look at you, like you transformed your body." He should have said, "Yes, she's a rock star. Yeah, I'm really proud of her. Yeah, she's worked really hard." But instead he'd be like, "Stop talking." So that was a lack of support. And then I've gone into the other ones too. But that was my longest relationship. I was with him for 20 years. So I don't want you to be afraid to leave something that's not serving you. Because as I said at the beginning of the podcast, love is not just one thing. It's not just about being in love. It's not just about what is love. What is love? What is love? It's when two people support each other. It's when two people respect each other. It's when two people are intimate and passionate and want to see each other grow. It's about sharing the same dreams and aspirations, wanting the same things out of life, a lifestyle. So love is not just one thing. It's a combination of a lot of things. And that's why love is hard. That's why relationships are hard, because we're always trying to find out what it is to find that perfect balance. And if you have an open mind and have an open heart, you'll realize that there's joy in learning what works and what doesn't work if you're with the right person. And I've watched people in relationships where it's very one-sided. I've watched relationships where it's just a beautiful balance of love and friendship and playfulness. That's the thing that I'm looking for in a relationship, just FYI. When it gets to that point, I'm looking for somebody who's playful because I'm too fucking serious and I need somebody who's playful. Remember, if any of these things have raised concerns with you, I don't want you to be scared of being alone, okay? You have friends and family that love you and you won't be lonely. You may be alone, but you won't be lonely. But feeling alone in a relationship is really bad, is a terrible feeling. I've been there. So every single time I've chosen myself, and I never thought that I was failing at love until I started thinking about that. Like when I say that I've been married twice and I'm on my second divorce, am I failing at love? I don't think so, because I loved every single man. I loved the two men that I was married to and the crossdresser before I knew he was a crossdresser. But I still chose myself because I needed to be honest with what was important to me. And choosing yourself doesn't mean that you have failed at finding love. It just means that it wasn't the right person, the right time, and that you honored what felt right for you. And you didn't continue on working on something that you knew couldn't work because that person was not open to compromise, wasn't open to learning more. So with all my experience and reading and listening to podcasts and about love and relationships, I know that love and the person that loves you should add to your life, not drain you. And I'll also add that if you feel drained by friends too, then maybe that friend isn't for you. So if your marriage, your relationship, or what you think is love isn't adding anything to your life, but draining you or leaving you feeling alone and lonely, then honor yourself, believe in yourself, and leave the relationship because you're just wasting your time. Don't kill me for saying that. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for the right things that work for you. Don't be afraid to ask what you need. And if that person cannot step up to the plate and give those things to you when you are being so honest and fearless with them and they can't give it to you, then it's time to shut the door on that relationship. And I promise you, you will be a better woman for it, but you probably don't give a shit about that right now. But you will find love. You will find the right love. The longer you stay in that friggin' relationship, the longer it's going to take you to find somebody else. So stop wasting your time and move on. You know, I had a few more things to say about this, so I'll just add them in right here. If you're in a relationship right now, I want you to ask yourself, do I feel supported? Do I feel like they hear me? Do I feel like they're my biggest cheerleader? Do I feel like they want to see me grow? Do I feel at peace? Do I feel like I can be myself? Do I feel safe to be myself? Is this love, or am I just surviving? If you're just surviving, ladies, leave. I know it's easier said than done, but I've done it. I worked on my relationships. You don't get an award for staying the longest. You get the rewards when you're in a relationship that is supportive and loving and gives you everything that you want and that you need. You don't need the award for being the martyr in a relationship. Instead, we want to reap the rewards of being in a fulfilling, loving, exciting, romantic, sexy, wonderful relationship. It's what every woman wants. So I hope you enjoyed this love episode. I'm going to do more of these because I really enjoy talking about love and relationships. And if you have any questions about anything you would like me to talk about, I want to dig deeper into love, what makes us tick, and why we stay when we should go, and how brave we are when we decide to honor ourselves, when we do decide that's what is best for us is to leave. So thank you for joining me for this episode of Fearlessly Authentic. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. And until next week, have the most fearlessly authentic week. Bye-bye.